Well, hello everyone. My name's John, and over there are Rob and Alex, and together we are Fresh Check, and we're here to help let you know when your food is contaminated. So, right now, 1.3 billion tons worth of food is wasted globally. To put this into perspective, that's a third of all food produced for human consumption, which is a lot of food to be throwing away. On top of this, 1 in 10 people are contaminated by spoilt food each year, and of these people, almost 500,000 of them will die as a result of it. One of the reasons why food contamination happens is the fact that the use-by date isn't accurate. It really isn't telling you what's going on with your food, and it's grossly overestimating food safety. It causes us to throw away food, and there's no direct correlation to how your food actually is and how safe it is. Also, on top of this, it means nothing once you've frozen your food. At this point, it's not worth the paper it's printed on. Also, once you've opened up your food packaging, it again means nothing. There's other external contamination, so it's not taking that into account. Also, people who are hard of sight can't even make sense of a use-by date. They can't see it, so it means nothing to them. So we came up with a solution. The solution is Fresh Check. Fresh Check is a small blue label that you place inside of your food and drinks packaging. As long as the label stays blue, it means that your food is totally safe and healthy to eat. And it's only when a label turns orange that you should actually start to throw away your food. It is no longer safe for you to have anymore. So we have a lot of advantages over our current competitors, such as we offer rapid detection of bacterial contamination. Also, we're cheap at only half a pence per sticker, and hopefully only getting cheaper as we bring our manufacturing costs down. And also, we're simple and more accurate. I mean, what's more simple than a color change? It's just so easy to understand. And also, we work after freezing, so something in the use by date is never going to be able to do. So right now, we finished our prototype. That's all done. And at the beginning of next year, we want to start running some focus groups so we can really understand our market, get ourselves out there. We've already done some public outreach, and people from the ages of 8 to 80 really understood what we had to offer them, and we got some really great positive feedback. Then we want to start a trial at the beginning of next year where we'll work with some smaller retailers, and also we've already got a trial running next month, hopefully, where we can actually get Fresh Check out there and see how well it runs and how best to integrate it into the current system. And then by the end of next year, we want to start upscaling our manufacture and selling in a B2B model. So right now, we estimate there's a £2 billion total addressable market of meat, high-value meat and high-risk, high-value meat and fish. And we believe we can tackle that with our cheap price point. But the Fresh Check innovation isn't really in the label, it's in the compound itself, which can be placed into a variety of platforms, such as a spray bottle version as well. Here it works in the same way, where as long as our spray is blue, it means there's no bacterial contamination. This is perfect for areas of hospitality and catering, or also in any areas of high footfall and traffic, such as in Heathrow. Here we can make sure there is no kind of bacterial contamination, and soon we're going to actually be trialing with Heathrow. And eventually, one of our end goals is to go into the healthcare industry. Of course, we've all heard about these horrible outbreaks of MRSA. We can show that operating theatres and hospital wards in general are all very clean and sterile, and there's nothing wrong with them. And we have the cheap solution for that with Fresh Check. So right now, the team is small. It's just me and Rob and Alex sitting over there. We're all PhD students studying the chemical biology of health and disease. We have backgrounds in not only physics, biochemistry, and chemistry, but also in industry and in some startups. Right now, we're looking for design engineers and people who understand the manufacturing insights to help us move Fresh Check forward to the next stages. So thank you very much for listening. We're Fresh Check, and we're here to help you waste less food.
Can you please tell me if you detect every bacteria?
Yeah, well, we detect 95% of all bacteria, so we are quite broad range. And the 5% that we don't actually detect, so far they won't actually grow without the presence of other bacteria. So to 95 technically, but we think 100% in reality.
Hi, the technology looks interesting and it's cheap, so
yeah.
That's a good point. But I'm concerned about the willingness of the retailers to put a device that would jeopardize their supply chain. Yeah. So how concerned, I'm afraid your business is highly related to regulation, and that the retailers won't like to to show, to have an additional device. So maybe healthcare is a good market for you, and maybe also the delivery, like e-commerce, could be interesting because it helps to show the risk transfer.
Yeah, so yes, you're right. We believe that actually implementing us as early as possible and down the supply chain line, and we'd really like to get to know these markets with clients. yeah, the earlier that we put ourselves in, the better that we can understand where there might be bottlenecks and bacterial contamination, which is one reason as well why the spray bottle variety will also go quite well into the supply chain line for food packaging and processing, because you can really understand where the issues lie. Yeah, in terms of we want to make ourselves as least invasive as possible, but we just, we're looking for partners right now to help us really understand how best to place ourselves in there without disrupting the market or the current supply chain. So.
Hi. Is your technology only based on the bacterial thing, or is it also on temperature, for example? Because my question is, how can you, for example, see if you're talking about bacterial contamination, but if your device is on one place on the food, it doesn't mean that the food cannot be contaminated somewhere else. So
yeah.
how do you manage that?
So at the moment, yes, it is a small label, which we would place in the best possible area of the packaging. So normally if you buy chicken or most meats, they've got quite a lot of liquid and homogeneity to them. Can't speak. But yeah, we're trying to aim it there. But at the end, we want to sort of make the actual packaging itself have our dye in it. So it's all the way through. So actually, the entire packaging itself can change color regardless of where the meat is itself. But we just need to understand it a bit better.
I have one question regarding the color of your product and the information regarding the buy date on the product itself or on the packaging.
Yeah.
How you will manage the fact that there may be a discrepancy, so the day bite will be passed and your product will still be good.
Yeah.
And what will be your responsibility in that case?
At the moment, there's lots of FSA standards as to when food has gone off. It can be a bit wishy-washy, sort of saying 100,000 bacterial confocal units per, or however much area of food. So it does need to be tuned for each food type. But seeing as the compound that we have is water-based, it's very easy to tune just by topping up with water or drying down to have less water present. In terms of the sort of blame game, we've spoken to some lawyers briefly so far, and they sort of say in the same way that you can say on the side of coffee, caution hot, to stop it being at your being on the coffee vendor, you can do the same thing with Fresh Check. So as long as you put on it, end risk is at user's discretion. It's fine according to the lawyers. So.